And okay. Put your ears up to it. You don't have to. No, get closer to it. And then when you talk, hello, listeners.
Oh.
Yeah. You need to get a little closer because can I have? Honey, it was like you're pulling against the computer. Ooh, spooky. Okay.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
Are we? Okay, no one told me anything. I'm just like, ooh. Are we? Well, now that we know, Ezio just jumped up.
Ezio wants on the box.
Which is on the table.
Remember, we're echoey right now, too.
Oh, no. My bad.
So, hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Spooky.
Let's get spooky. Can you do your intro while it's spookified voices right now?
Sure thing. Welcome to Ezio Jumped in the Box. 10 points for everyone. Welcome to Two Squirrels and One Nut, an Ocho Studio production. Brought to you by This and That Nut, featuring our one and only Hazel Nut. Hi. And as always, guys, it's time to...
Ooh, spooky drop the nut. All right, I'm gonna shut that off now. Normal voices. There we go.
On today's episode, we are talking about personal ghost stories.
Ooh.
Which we at least each have one.
I have 3.
I have a few. That's why I said at the very least. I didn't say maximum. So, who wants to begin on this spooky adventure?
I guess I can go first.
Yes.
So, let me change the mood here. This one's a little lighthearted of a ghost story. So to preface, if you're a non-believer of ghost story or ghosts or the supernatural, that's cool. This is just all in good fun. You know, we're not looking for people to be like, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong or anything. Just go with the flow. It's the spooky season, and we want to have a good time.
Yes, lighthearted is great.
Yeah, nothing. This is again not going to be anything too terrifying.
Nothing too
actual events that have happened to us IRL.
Yes.
So this story takes place, I don't remember exactly what time frame. I just remember Dad worked nights or was not home presently.
I was traveling. I went to a different forest.
Yes. I think this was the first time you started doing that. So not groovy.
Oh, groovy listening.
But this story was I think when I was like first started kind of putting out TikToks and stuff. So nothing like super, you know, attention grabbing. It's just kind of like, oh, just lightheartedly. I was doing a bit where you hum and whistle at the same time. And it makes it sound like a weird, like ethereal kind of like UFO sound. And as I'm talking about like how to make this sound, I'm in our living room where we currently stay. We are currently in said living room. And I'm trying to do this recording, doing it over and over again. Nothing out of the ordinary has ever happened. Arizona Iced Tea joined.
Ooh, yummy.
Chihuahua King.
Hi.
Welcome. We're telling ghost stories.
Yes.
So there I am, just kind of sitting on the floor. I still have the video up on my TikTok. So if you go back and listen to it very carefully, you'll hear what happens in the background. And it actually scares me. So we're sitting, I'm sitting there completely alone, doing this recording, and just outside of the window, I hear and I'm like, that's a weird sound to hear. It's a knocking sound. Like, that's Moofish.
Hey, hi. I'm about to be driving.
Figured
I listen in.
Yeah,
thank you, Moofish.
thank you. So I hear a weird knocking sound just below our window in our living room. And I had to pause the recording. I'm like, that was crazy. Now, for those of you, our listeners that don't know, no, I was not the one knocking. No.
No, Moofish was not the one knocking.
So, there you go. Turned down just a little bit more. It was loud in my earballs. For those of you, for the listeners and the people that don't know, we live on the second floor.
We sure do.
So there's nobody that's going to be able to knock just below our window like that. And the fact that I heard it multiple times while I was recording something, and I'm just like, that's bizarre. And I listened back to the recording after I posted it, and you can clearly hear the knock sound. And I'm like, part of me thought maybe, just maybe, it was a downstairs neighbor at the time. And I was like, I've never met the downstairs neighbor. I've never seen the downstairs neighbor. And I was like, oh, maybe I was just like, the music was too loud, or maybe I was being too loud, or which obviously wasn't the case, because if you watch the video, I'm not that loud of a person. I know it's contrary to the belief I'm like screaming right now. No. But I realized there's nobody living in the unit underneath us.
At least there wasn't then.
Like all of their stuff was there. All of their belongings were there, but the actual person never actually lived there.
I think they were in a nursing home.
I believe, home. They were in assisted living, and they just happened to be renting out the unit underneath us. And I'm like, that is bizarre. But that's not the only bizarre ghost story we have that happened in this unit. But the knocking was really unusual, and someone said like possibly was, you know, a neighboring squirrel. Like, because we have a tree right outside the window, so possibly. This happened in the middle of the night. Like, this was at like midnight.
Yeah, a lot of things.
They're not nocturnal. So at least I think it was midnight. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back in my video and check. So now I'm curious. Yeah, it was a little spooky. Like, didn't expect that. What about you, Hazel? What's your ghost story?
So I will
Which one are you gonna start off with?
I'm going to start with your favorite. So this was in my early 20s of my squirrel life, and I was still living with Mama Macadamia, and her and I would stay up late sometimes because we like to hang out, chat, watch scary stuff, or just stuff in general. And at the time, we were living in the 3rd floor of an apartment. Now, if I'm awake too late, I will start hearing stuff. And I know what that feels like and sounds like to me. And it's usually music. And I can never quite pinpoint what it is, and when I get closer to it, it gets quieter.
Mm-hmm.
This was not that. I went to bed in my own little nest, and I could hear a male and female talking, just loud enough to know that they were talking, but not loud enough to hear what they were saying. I'm thinking it's probably the neighbors downstairs. So I didn't think much of it, tried to go to sleep. Could not. So I tried moving the pillow. That didn't help. So then I got all the way down on the floor to see if maybe I could hear them. It got quieter, not louder. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just too tired. I began feeling like somebody was watching me. At that point, I was like, you know what? Not worth it. So I leave my nest and go to Mama Macadamia's nest, and I tell her, I need to sleep with you tonight. I'm hearing people talk. It's keeping me awake. She was a little bit annoyed because I woke her up, but she let me in bed. Within seconds of me laying in bed next to her, for those of you that have children or have been around children, you might be able to understand the sound a little bit better. Imagine a toddler crawling very quickly from point A to point B. But this sounded adult-sized, and it was rapid and loud, coming from my nest all the way out to the front room, and then back to my nest. My mother's reaction was to reach over and smack me on the arm as if it was my fault. And had the nerve to ask me, what was that? And I looked at her and I said, I told you I was hearing people. What do you mean, what was that? So we calm down, we try to go to sleep, and we hear it again. And she props herself up and looks at me and says, it's like they're looking for you. I said, I know, and I don't want to be found. I want to go to bed. And if it weren't for the fact that she heard it too, and it sounded like it was coming from our floor, and it was heavy enough that we could feel vibrations, I would have thought maybe I am just too tired. But if she heard it too, and she does not have any kind of audio hallucination when she's too tired, it wasn't just me. I had a witness that night.
It's just the sound of a grown person just scuttling across the floor. Just,
Yes.
No, I know the sound.
On
I
hands
know
and
the
knees.
sound. Like, even though I've never actually heard it, you know what it sounds like.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, no.
Yes. This was in the very haunted neck of the woods that I'm very grateful to be far away from.
Good.
Yes.
That.
So, it is my turn. And Mama Walnut, when I was young, I was about a young squirrel. Mama Walnut and Papa Walnut got a house that was 4 years old when we moved in, right? So very young, and me being but a young, naive squirrel thought, surely can't be haunted if we've only, owned the house when it was already 4. It's too young to be haunted. I was wrong. I was humbled. When I was in high school, Hazel Nut was over. And Hazel Nut and I, like I said, high school chums, fine, whatever. Mama and Papa Nut Walnut, yes. We love our Mama and Papa Walnut. But Hazel Nut, in all her glory, decides to tell me, hey, there's a little ghost girl here. And I'm looking at her sideways thinking, why did you acknowledge that? Like, what possessed you to be like, yes, I'm going to acknowledge this, ethereal figure's existence when I've been doing everything to ignore it. So I'm just like, you don't come into someone else's tree and bring stuff up when they don't want it brought up. Like, that's just disrespectful. And then Miss Hazel Nut decides to go, she needs to cross over that. And I'm just like, that ain't my problem. that sure ain't that's problem.
It's not my job.
Like, bye. So I was very unhappy with Hazel Nut that night. I forgive them for their transgressions, but that was not cool.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry, go on.
Yes, so that was my little story. And, the house. So, Mama and Papa Walnut's house tends to be a little active. And, like I said, I was living there. As a little squirrel, I was living there, so I wasn't going to pay him no mind. What else can I do? I was living under the walnuts and had no, currency of my own. So wasn't going to be bothered. I was not going to acknowledge. But yet, the people who decide to visit decide to tell me, oh, by the way, I know no one was home, not even you but I heard walking down the footsteps and saw no one. And I'm just like, what do you want me to do with this information? Like, why are you bugging me? And then another night, another friend was sleeping over. We'll call her Pecan. Pecan was sleeping over, and so was Hazel. So Pecan and Hazel and I were just sleeping downstairs by the, front area. And, I am minding my own business. I am sleeping very happily, tucked underneath my little tail. And then Miss Pecan wakes me up and was just like, the light just turned on by itself. And I'm just like, I was having a good dream. Like, I guess I'll turn it off for you. It is my house after all, so let me scamper over to the lights and turn it off. But once again, I don't wish to be bothered by this thing. Like, especially if I'm living in it. Like, hello?
It's wild stuff.
It is, like I said, the audacity.
Like, why
living.
Why would you draw attention to it? Like,
exactly.
Please don't. Have you never seen a horror movie before?
This is why Asians live. Like, no.
None of that Caucasian curiosity.
Yeah, we don't deal with caucasity in this tree. Are you kidding me? No. And Pecan wasn't even caucasity.
That's fair. That that reminds me of the proud moment that you have of me.
Which proud moment?
Where I didn't acknowledge anything and just left. I was just like,
so
nope,
proud.
I'm out.
Yes.
So this happened before we met, and during that time I lived out in the middle of nowhere, like surrounded by cornfield, small little like farm area, and I would occasionally go hunting. Now, talking about the story still makes my hair stand on end because I can remember everything very vividly. I got up real early in the morning, got all dressed up, ready to go out and start the morning to go hunting for white-tailed deer. I know it sounds silly that a tiny squirrel can take down a deer, but we're vicious. So
if David can take down a Goliath,
yeah,
this can take down a deer.
I had my bow and arrow and my little backpack of all my supplies. chugged an energy drink, ready to start the day. I go out there, just barely enough sun peeking over the horizon, and I start my journey. And I think, Dad, you know the distance that is from where we lived and the woods.
Yes, it's a pretty good walk.
It is a hike and a half. So I meander out there, stumbling through a cornfield that is freshly harvested. So I go beeline straight for the woods, and instead of going through my usual route, I change it up a little bit. So instead of going through the eastmost side of the woods, I decide to go through the west side of the woods. You know, try to sneak up on the deer or something. Maybe. I don't know. So I get through. I'm moving so slow. The time that I woke up from the time that I actually got to the woods had to have been a good hour, maybe an hour and like 15 minutes. Because you have to move really, really slowly and quietly. Stalker kind of. And I get into the woods, which takes about maybe another 20 to 30 minutes. Because, you gotta move really, really slow. And quiet and stealthy-like. So I get to the woods. I find a spot. I'm like, this is a good spot to sit. A little background story about these woods. It's a very dense forest, like a dense amount of trees. Vehicles cannot drive through this patch of trees. It is impossible. Maybe like an all-terrain vehicle, like a four-wheeler, maybe can get through there, but it's a lot of work to do that. So even then, there is an old abandoned car out there. And when I say old, I mean possibly from like the 1960s, maybe 50s. It is old. Like think of like old mobster car. And it had the specialty doors where like a normal traditional car door opens up, but the back doors opened up like a mirror, so they would open up in the opposite direction. So kind of like a book, essentially. It would open up that way, if that makes any sense. Not really a book, but at any rate, I call it the old gangster car because there's bullet holes all up in it.
That was that for old
memory. The United States.
Yes. It was in the United States, yes.
I'm assuming that's what you're asking. The 4-year-old memory was the house was 4 years old.
Yes, the house was 4 years old when we first lived in it.
Yes. Is it the house that they are currently in? It is the house that you're currently in, Romy.
Good luck.
Well, I mean, there hasn't been any activity since, so sage is a good thing. I'm just saying.
So wonderful, especially for this apartment.
Yeah. At any rate, I call it the old mobster car because there's bullet holes all over it. Now, whether that was from the people who previously lived there or whatever. But mind you, this is a big vehicle that is in these woods a pretty good way. There's no way to get this car out without having to cut down trees. So it has been there for many, many years, decades. Along with other kind of things that are out there like high heel shoes, a really old washing machine, some broken glass bottles and vials, and etc. That's not the area where I'm hunting. But I am pretty close to it. No, thanks for the follow. Dungeon Master.
Nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, that was sweet. Thank you.
And I gotta say, I love your profile picture.
Yee.
It's a GI robot.
Heck
but with a straw hat.
Yes.
So, love it. So I'm out there hunting. I'm sitting on the ground, leaning up against a tree. I got my bow next to me and my backpack leaning up against a tree as well. And usually around this time of year, because it's around October, September, the leaves are falling, so there's a lot of crunching you can hear from other squirrels running around, chipmunks, birds, the wind in general. So you can hear a lot of nature sounds. And I'm like, this is peaceful. It is relaxing. I am wide awake from that energy drink and just ready to go at a moment's notice. I'm sitting there, and another fellow squirrel happens to come by, gets really close to me, but I'm, mind you, in complete full camouflage. That squirrel has no idea I'm there. And it moseys about, it goes about its day. And I'm like, oh, cool. It is such a rush when an animal just casually walks past you within like 2 to 3 feet, or even if it jumps on your leg and then jumps off your leg thinking nothing of it. You're like, I am invisible. This is the perfect spot where you want to be at, the perfect feeling. And as I'm thinking that, I realize I no longer hear any sound. There's no wind. There's no leaves crunching. The other squirrel that I just saw was no longer making any noise through the leaves. And I was like, wow, that's odd. There's no sound. By the time that thought crosses my brain, I hear the most blood-curdling scream from just above my head. Just 2 feet from my head. And again, my hair is standing on end right now talking about it, because I can remember so clearly that scream. It was a woman screaming. And I've talked to other people, and they try to, say, oh, maybe it was an owl, because owls screech. Owls screech. This was a scream. You could hear the vocal cords straining with this scream. Again, chilling. And as a person that has seen many horror movies, and as a person that has seen and watched the Supernatural series, I think to myself, this is the exact opening scene where the person gets got by something and then the Winchesters have to investigate. So I'm going to be smart. I'm looking straight forward, and I see the break of the tree line and the cornfield without turning my head to investigate, because I know as soon as I turn and look and say, what was that? I look forward, there's going to be some entity in front of me. And I don't want that to happen to me. So without turning my head, I grab my backpack, I grab my bow, and just walk forward. And again, remember, this is a very dense brush and wood, or trees. So I'm actually walking through thorn thickets, not caring, because I'm not going to try breaking my line of sight with the salvation that is the open field. And I got out of there and never looked back. I went hunting, I think, again a few months later, but not on that same side.
Of course not.
I never went back onto that side of that.
No, why would you welcome that?
And I've explained this to several people who live out there, and they have no explanation of what I may have heard and thankfully didn't see. Mm-hmm. But that is probably one of my most terrifying ghost stories, because it's, again, I cannot replicate that scream that I heard because I don't have that kind of voice to do that. But I can find it, and I don't want to find it. Think of like a scream of someone that is in incredible distress and is pleading for help. That scream that just triggers that primal instinct inside your brain to be like, I have to help this person. There is a scream that you'll hear it and you'll know what I'm talking about, but gross. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Gross.
It was a bad time.
And this is why we don't investigate.
We
leave artifacts and everything alone, and don't subscribe to Cassidy.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. Yeah, I still wonder. I've talked to other people that are skeptics and believers, and they play me sounds that are of like a screaming goat.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, oh, it could have been this. And I hear it, I'm like, no. Again, this came from above me, and I'm leaning against a tree. So there's no way it was a goat. And then the only thing I could possibly maybe say it was an owl, but again, right above my head, there's no branches for any kind of creature to sit on. So there's no way it was a bird. And again, you could hear the vocal cords rattling and being strained as they screamed. And
Nah.
the best way I can describe it, a banshee scream.
Nah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So I wasn't dealing with that.
Nope.
And you are right, this. I am so proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'm
out of there.
just, yep. Again, with what Romy says too. Nope. I ruined those pants. Those pants that I had were absolutely shredded by the time I got out of the woods, but I did not care. I chose to live.
I thought you meant ruined in another way.
No.
Like, oh, which is also valid.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, spooky time. It should just be the top voice. Yep.
But speaking of being in the middle of nowhere by yourself and things happening, I went to go visit some family last night, and they live very far away now. It took me 2 hours to get there, and at some point, there's nothing. You have a stretch of road, maybe some road or gravel paths branching off of it, and empty cornfields that are all mowed down, just nothing. Well, I was on my way here late last night, and I'm still in the part of cornfield where there's nothing. So there's the road that's telling me which way to go, the little bit of road next to it that's kind of like half gravel, half grass. You have the ditch, and then you have flat cornfields. Well, I already had to avoid being run over by a deer. So that was fresh in my mind. I'm like, yes, I almost forgot. Deer are very big. You don't want to encounter deer. They're large.
Yes.
Unless you are dis and you go hunting them. But not me. I don't do that. Well, I started getting that funny feeling of somebody's watching me. There is no somebody. There are no lights anywhere. Not on the street, no vehicles. There wasn't even moonlight to go by because it was very cloudy. Everything was just black.
Proud.
Yes. So I'm looking for deer because I almost got run over by one. So I'm looking, and maybe 9-10 feet to my right, way in the empty cornfield, is a blacker than black silhouette, which is about deer-shaped, but only the torso. But it's not horizontal, it's vertical. Deer don't do vertical, and whatever that was huge. I caught just the glimpse of it, and if you've ever heard any stories about the Appalachian Mountains, did you see something? No, you did not.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear something?
Mm-hmm.
No, you did
Nope.
not. So I made sure I quickly just kept going. I swear I felt like it was watching me leave, but I refused to look back.
Mm-mm.
I did not stop. I think I actually sped up because I didn't want to find out. I don't want to know how fast it was. I don't want to know what it was. All I know is I'm in the middle of nowhere, and that thing was bigger than deer-shaped.
Standing on hind legs.
On hind legs.
Ugh.
There are no bear in cornfields, so I don't know what it was. But I noped out of there as quickly as I could.
Oh, you would have known if it was a bear.
Yeah, that's valid. That's a valid point.
You know, there's a difference between bear shape and deer shape.
Yes. Yes.
Oof.
Because I don't know if you guys remember, like, this is just a funny tangent. So back when we were younger, like, I want to say at least, like, had to be in early 2000s, right? Like, there was a news, or there was something on the news, and a local resident was just like, hey, we had a bear sighting. And, you know, to show that there was a bear sighting, the news anchor team, you know, got out a beautiful cardboard box, you know,
Cardboard cutout
of a bear, and was just like, do. And I was just like, yes.
Think of like the puppets, but they're not actual puppets. They're just like little cutout figurine or figures.
Shadow puppet.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just just
But
across the
it was
screen.
just a picture of a bear that a guy was holding and walking around
Yes.
with to simulate the bear movement.
Because, you know, just in case you've never seen one, right?
It was so silly.
I loved, like, that is a core memory. Speaking of core, nope memories. So I was in my bedroom by myself, minding my own beautiful business like I do. I subscribe to that mind your business life motto. My window was closed. There was no breeze. The vents were closed. The door was closed. And I was relaxing, decompressing from the day. And during this particular day, I had an empty garbage bag that was just sitting on top of my dresser drawer, you know, just because I was going to do cleaning a little bit later or something. And out of nowhere, this empty garbage bag decides to just levitate. And it flew up like at least 2-3 feet-ish, did a little loop, and then went down very whimsically onto the floor. I looked at it and was just like, okay, well, it's a good time as any to leave the room. I need my steps anyways. And I just noped right out of my room because I was not going to be bothered.
And I know right now, Pete, if you're listening to this,
I know Pete Tree does not believe this, which I don't mind. You don't have to subscribe to this story.
but it's still the fact of like it's hard to explain what caused it, because all of the factors that would cause that bag to move,
Like a draft or something.
were checked off the list of being like, no, there's no way it could have done that. It wasn't close enough to this. It wasn't close enough to that.
Yes.
That was closed. This was shut off. So
It was just a nice, peaceful, still room, and the empty garbage bag decided to do the ooh, and I'm like,
It was
well, that's
it
disrespectful.
was all just.
I know. Like I said, the way that it wiggled, I was just like, this is so disrespectful. In my room of all places. You can haunt, you know, the downstairs area. You can haunt the stairs, but why my room? Like, I didn't do anything to you. In fact, I ignore you. So it was just so disrespectful to bring that into my humble abode.
This is my safe place. Why would you do this?
Yes, I can't believe you've done that.
Leave. Let's leave. Oh, yeah. So I mentioned earlier that there was the knocking. That was like the first story. There's obviously more than just that one that has happened. Pete says, absolutely, I agree.
Oh,
Humans are the, yes,
Of course.
for sure.
I never said humans weren't the real threat. I'm just saying that I also don't wish to be bothered by, you know, spirits when I just want to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm asking too much, I know.
it just reminds me of this a tangent that just goes off. Was watching a horror movie with a friend, and it's getting to like the scariest part of the movie. He is laughing with you.
Thank you, brother.
It got to a really scary part of the movie. Mind you, we're in the basement at my buddy's house, and we're watching, I cannot remember the name of the movie, but it involved like this little girl that was like either possessed or like a zombie or something. And it's little girls in scary movies
Scary.
It just makes it more scary.
Yeah, you don't
So we're
trust
sitting there. Me and him are just completely invested in this film. We're like, oh my god, this is getting good. And out of the corner of my eye, I see something move, and I go, oh my god, there's something down here with us. And I look, and it's his little sister, just standing there, not motionless and completely quiet. I'm like, oh my god. And he's just like, what are you doing down here? We're watching a movie. Can you go upstairs? And she just goes, where's mom? I'm like,
No.
just silent and screaming. And he's like, they're asleep. Just go to bed. And then she just snaps and goes, don't yell at me. And then runs up the stairs. I'm like, I'm going home.
No.
So
That's the right answer.
That's a side tangent. That wasn't actually a ghost story. It turns out they sleepwalk a lot.
Oh.
And whenever they would it's a little girl moment, yeah.
Yes.
Every time they would sleepwalk, they would always go and find their sibling. No matter where they were, they would go and find them. And it's super spooky.
Yeah, that's a no thank you.
No.
But that sorry, that was a little side tangent. Just, for some reason
sleeping under the bed. No.
Yeah, no, fair.
The other stories that he told me were the little sister would just come into the room and turn the TV on and just sit at the edge of the bed. I'm like, I would call a priest at that point.
Yeah, no.
Because, well, here's the thing. The sister would turn the TV on and usually be a blue screen, but for some reason, it was TV static.
No.
It was just
snow screen?
Just a snow, yeah. Then that's the, and they turned and looked at the foot of the bed, and the sister's just sitting there, and they're just like, "Hey, go to bed. Go sleep in your own bed." And they're like, "Okay," and they would just go into their, just leave. Like,
No.
don't.
Mm-mm.
No. Sorry, that was again
Oh no, I completely understand.
not really a ghost story, but it could be.
It could easily turn into a ghost story.
I don't talk to them anymore, so I don't know. I don't know what happened to them.
No. Well, I qualify this as a ghost story, but you guys can be the judge.
Okay.
So this is not about something I saw or heard. It's not about something somebody else saw or heard and told me. This is something that I dreamt.
Yes.
Look the banshee in the face.
No. So, my grandfather had a brother. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was a twin brother. And he passed away before I was born or very shortly after I was born. I never got to meet him. I didn't know what he looked like. We moved 6 times before this dream took place. Some background information. My grandfather had been recently diagnosed with leukemia, and his brother had passed away due to cancer. So this was a very scary, sensitive topic for him because this hit very close to home. At this time, Mama Macadamia and I, we lived in a 100-year-old house.
Oh,
Yes,
that's a good
y'all
start.
did.
Love it. It was great. Note the sarcasm. So, normally, I would sleep with my head as far away from the bedroom door as possible. Because if something's coming through that door, I want to have time to see it and react. For whatever reason, I changed how I was sleeping. And my head was closer to the bedroom door. Don't know why. Well, in my dream, I was talking to somebody that I could very clearly picture his face and all of his features. And he started off by saying, "Hey, kiddo," which is something that the family would say, but it was usually, older family members. Something like what grandfather would say. That was normal. But I didn't know this person, so it was weird that he was saying it. So we had a discussion. And it ended with him telling me, tell your grandfather that he's gonna be okay. And that I said he's gonna be okay. I said, okay. I wake up thinking, that's weird. But maybe that's just, my subconscious wanting him to be okay and being concerned about him. Well, later that day, I told Mama Macadamia about the dream. And she agreed it was a little bit weird, so I started describing what the guy looked like. She turned very pale and had to sit down because apparently I described his brother to her in such detail that she couldn't explain it. We did not have pictures of him. I had never seen a picture of him. So circling back to, we have moved 6 times. For those of you that have never moved, that requires putting all of your belongings into boxes, down to the last scraps of paper you're unwilling to throw out, and then unpacking them all. So we've done this process 6 times. I go to clean up my room. Underneath what was supposed to be the foot of the bed, which was where I put my head that day.
Guardian angel.
Quite possibly. I found a funeral pamphlet for my grandfather's brother. There are people that say you cannot dream about people you've never met before. I never met him.
Your dad's brother's watching over him. Yeah?
Yes. So I went and showed Mom. Mama Macadamia freaked out a little bit, understandably so, because nobody remembered packing, let alone unpacking that thing 6 times, or how it would have ended up in my room. And I ended up talking to my grandfather and breaking the news to him as gently as possible that I dreamt about his brother and what he had to say. My grandfather did pass away about 7 years ago. It was not due to leukemia, though. He was able to recover from that. But it was very, very odd, and it's something that I will never forget.
Yeah.
How can you? So, this next story is a story that I share with Hazel.
Oh, no.
So,
Oh, no.
we were visiting a friend. I will call this friend Pine Nut, or Pine. So, Hazel and I were visiting Pine, and Pine lived in a condominium with their mom.
Oh.
And we didn't know Pine's mom was there. And, so the condominium was separated into 2 levels. And between, it had stairs that went to the door, and then stairs that went to the 2nd floor where the kitchen, bathroom, and stuff were. And, we were just chilling with Pine, having a good time, good laughs, and, out of nowhere, the atmosphere shifts. And, I don't know if you've ever been in an area where it's just nothing but bright light, and, you can start hearing the humming of the fluorescents, and the humming went from very soft, very quiet to being the only thing that I heard. And I looked up, and obviously Hazel and I had different occurrences in this time. This is my version. So I looked up and I saw Pine's mom, but didn't see Pine's mom.
Oh, the story.
And the features of... So, for those of you who are wondering, Pine's mom is Asian, right? And when I looked at her, none of her features were quite there. It looked muted, if you will. The nose was kind of just barely a fuzz of what a nose should be. The lips were barely there. Imagine if you're wearing glasses imagine that you are looking at someone without your glasses on, and it just blurs them out.
Oh, like when they like blur the faces on like when they're
Yeah.
doing like news reports or something.
Yes, so kind
Ah.
of like that. And which, I was wearing my glasses, so there was no reason for her face in particular to have that blur feature on. And the only thing that I saw when I was looking at her were pitch black eyes that extended from the iris to the scleras. So everything was just black, like kind of like the girl from The Ring, if you will. Long black hair, black eyes, and no distinguishable features. And maybe, just maybe, she was wearing a pure white outfit. Because like I said, that was all I saw, aside from the humming of fluorescent lights that weren't there. And I was just like, all right, nope.
So the version that I saw, because that's in the same room, kind of like what she said, everything just got very silent, except for the sound of the light bulbs buzzing. I'm looking around thinking it's just me. I see Dat and Pine looking up. So I look up. I couldn't even tell you what the woman was wearing. I can't tell you what she looked like other than what Dat just said. If you've ever seen Harry Potter, think Dementor style, like drape, but it was thin enough that I could kind of see body shape and movement. But it was black and almost sheer at the same time, but not. So all I could see was her practically gliding down the stairs. But I could tell she was looking at us and smiling, but it wasn't a nice smile.
It was like a Cheshire creepy.
Oh,
Yeah, I forget what she tried to say. She was attempting to play nice because we were there with Pine, but as soon as we could, we all got out of there and we were like, nope, because all the fur everywhere was standing on end. We were like, this is not an okay space anymore. We need to leave.
Ooh.
Yep, we left Pine there all by herself, and we're just like, nope, we're good.
Poor Pine. Why would you do this?
Because we didn't know how to tell Pine.
Oh, fair.
Okay, like, honestly, if anyone was in our position where we're just like, that's a demon.
GTFO.
Yes. So how do you begin to be like, hey, friend, I know this is hard
missed
to
it.
hear.
Where were you both? At a friend's house.
At a friend's house.
Sounds like a haunted house.
It felt like one.
But
Haunted house or haunted person?
yeah, I would say
I
like
would
more
say
of what-
person.
closer to like possession sounding.
It really was.
Very possible.
Like, because I've met this person before. This person hates me, which I'm good with, genuinely. But what?
No, just go on. Just
No,
that
like,
makes it.
I
This
know,
person
right?
hates
Who
me.
hates that? That's not nice. That is nice. But hating Dad is not nice.
So
What?
I'm a good squirrel, okay? Moms love me, for the most part. This mother just didn't like me, which, whatever. But I say this to say, I've seen this person before. That was the first time I've seen them like that.
Oof.
And I was just like, all right, well, it's time to skedaddle. It's time to just nope.
Skidoo, skidoo.
Skidoo, skidoo.
Get out of there. Oh, wow. I think we have enough time for one more story.
Yes, one more round.
So, I mentioned earlier, you know that floating person?
Yes. Like I said, I don't interact with them at all anymore, but at the time when both Hazel and I saw them, we did interact just sparsely in between, and I don't think I've seen them after that
Why is this-
incident, truth be told.
The music was terrible. Sorry.
Technical difficulties. One moment.
It's okay. For some reason, okay. Anyways, I mentioned earlier that Dat traveled for work.
Yes.
So this again happened in our apartment, and I'm sitting in the couch. I think it would probably be like in the past few days that you were up there or over there working. I felt like this super uneasy feeling. Yes, I wanted to ask where your music is coming from. It's a royalty-free website called Toon Tank. You just kind of like pick random genre. It's on like randomly picking songs, but it's supposed to be going in order, but apparently it's like
I just want to text it into the
won't.
chat. It won't?
What? No, I was saying like it's supposed to be going in order from which the song list is what we see, but for some reason it just jumps around to random songs and then it starts all over. Oh. You got it? Yes. Okay. Order free.
Yeah, like it goes in different orders. So
Oh yeah, yeah. But at any rate, they Dat was out working, and I was home alone for a couple days, and I just started getting this uneasy feeling, like this impending doom or this impending dread that constantly was surrounding me. I could not explain it for the life of me, and didn't think anything of it. Watching a movie, not a scary movie, just I think it was just a normal, like a YouTube video or something. And I'm sitting on the sofa watching it, and out of the corner of my eye, I see someone just walk into the kitchen, and I'm like, oh, it was probably just Dat going in and grab a snack. And I suddenly realize Dat's not even in the state that I'm in right now. I'm completely alone in our apartment. I didn't hear the person. I didn't hear footsteps. I didn't hear the refrigerator open or anything like that. I just saw the figure of a human just walk into our kitchen, and I go, cool. Not going to investigate that. And proceed to just, finish watching the show. Again, it's the same kind of time frame where I was having trouble sleeping in our bedroom. Could not stay asleep, constantly waking up every hour or even every half an hour. So I decided to throw on our TV, throw on some, random, soothing music or the Game Grumps sleep aid. And if you know what that is, then it's just a compilation of a bunch of just random hilarious videos, and would occasionally fall asleep. I ended up falling asleep in the living room on the couch, and again, constant feeling of dread and just something doesn't feel quite right. And I think it was after you came back home to the apartment, I noticed that there were black spots on our carpet that come from the kitchen threshold, which is close to our front door, and the black, what looks like somebody was dripping something, would drip every, like, what would we say, like a foot or so?
Yeah, every other foot.
Yeah, every other foot distance-wise, and it just would go straight to where the sofa was. And there were like 4 or 5 drops in a little pile right where the end of the sofa where my head was leaning against and I was sleeping. And no explanation. They're no longer on our carpet, by the way.
Yes, I noticed that. 'Cause
Yes.
I distinctly remember when I came back from traveling. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, and I was like, well, that's weird. That's right where my head was when I slept on the sofa. And I think we proceeded to sage after that. And then after saging the entire apartment, I had the best night's sleep ever. I slept so comfortably. And I think after a while, the black, again, it looked like black goo or like oil, like motor oil, was dropped on our carpet, which for some of you that may not know, we don't allow shoes anywhere where there's carpet.
I will fight those firemen. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we sage a lot.
We still sage regularly because it's just like,
if not more so, depending on the week.
Also a lot of negative energy from the people that live downstairs. So
Yes.
I didn't want that seeping up to here. We didn't need that negative energy. But yeah, I didn't get a vacuum, or what is it?
Carpet cleaner.
A carpet cleaner until relatively recently, like what, 2025?
Maybe last year.
Maybe like end of last year.
Yeah.
We just got it, but we didn't use it on those spots. Those spots just disappeared after a
they vanished
while.
on their own, which is nice because
I tried cleaning it up with like a normal paper towel and just some warm water, and it wouldn't come off.
it wouldn't. It was very stubborn, and then it just vanished as quick as it came.
Genuinely, I assumed that it was always there. Former neighbors, they don't live a story for another time. Yeah,
Yes.
they were just rambunctious.
Yeah, they were just rambunctious. folks.
Single mom, kind of
Yeah.
rambunctious, 2 children. But there were just a lot of like arguments and
yes.
movement. But again, that's a story for another time. But I figured that those stains were always there.
Yeah.
I figured we just now noticed them, but apparently not.
Nope.
Right?
See?
They were there, but now they're no longer there. They're like stubborn
They were
stains.
so stubborn. I remember because I also tried to clean them up and they just would not.
Yeah.
And then now they're gone.
They're just gone after we proceeded to air quote sage and obviously vacuum and all that, you know, normal stuff. They just seem to be gone, which feels good. It feels
Yes.
better in here.
The apartment has a better vibe and I'm loving it for all of us.
Yeah. Do you have another one?
I do have another one.
I wonder
So
which one this is. I know a few of hers, so I'm just waiting.
this is one that I don't talk about very often because it still makes me feel uneasy. This goes back to the haunted neck of the woods where the adult-sized scramble crawling was heard. So a little background to help you understand. So 3rd floor, we already established that. If you were in the hallway, where do you purchase your sage?
Oh, where do we?
Yes.
There's a Indian
Spiritual
native
place. Yeah.
on the wall.
So if you were in the hallway looking at the door to the apartment, you had the front door, about 3 or 4 feet of wall, and then the back door. So if you're in the apartment, if you're where we put the kitchen table, you can see the front door and the back door. What separated it was the wall that kind of divided between kitchen area and living room. So Mom was working, I don't know, 2-3 jobs at the time. She was gone a lot. I had double checked with her. She had just gotten home. She was downstairs on the phone with one of her friends. Now, I understand this very well because I do this with my friends often whenever we're on the phone. This was one of the friends where Mama Macadamia would be on the phone easy 4 hours, usually as a minimum. Not too concerned. So I know she's safe. She's in a parked car talking to a friend. I'm attempting to do dishes. And I go from getting, that doesn't feel good feeling, to my hands start shaking, I start panicking. Something is terribly wrong. I don't know what it is, but I need to get her inside so she is safe. And the sensation just skyrocketed within less than a second. It happened so quickly. And I had no precursor to give me the feeling of something's wrong. There was no loud bang, there was no yelling, there was nothing. Just silence. Instead of going out what is technically the back door, what was right next to me. I run around the wall to go out the front door and proceed to run towards the back of the building. And I hear her get inside, and all that was left was that shake of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately just my legs started shaking, then everything started shaking. I'm feeling like she just narrowly missed being taken out by something, but I have no reason to believe that. Why? Why would I feel that way? I was very well slept that night, had nothing to do with lack of sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I had not taken any form of anything, because I usually don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm level-headed, wide awake. I don't understand why I just felt that. I begin to think, maybe I need to go see somebody. Maybe I need medication, because this makes no sense. So I talked to Mama Macadamia to figure out what she was feeling and if there was any kind of correlation, you know, what was happening outside.
Mm-hmm.
So what she told me, perfectly clear night, very still, no wind, no rain clouds, no nothing. She went to get out of the car to cross the parking lot, and she began to hear what sounded like either very fat raindrops or very large leaves. And it was from far away and very quickly was getting closer to her.
Ooh.
And she suddenly felt the same, like, pure terror feeling of, I need to get inside where it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
So she did. And then she was fine. But neither one of us were talking to each other about what had happened. We didn't know that we were both feeling the same thing that the other person was feeling. I wasn't the one in danger, but I felt like she was. She didn't know I was feeling it, but she felt like she was in danger. And the only thing that made her feel better was she got inside.
Mm.
This happened, I think, within a matter of a couple months before we moved out. I would not wish that feeling on anybody.
Mm-mm.
I've never felt it before. I've never felt it since.
Mm-mm.
I hope I never feel that again.
Good.
Yeah.
But I understand the certain level of panic that they try to replicate in horror movies now.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't even come close to what you feel. There is no rational thought. There's nothing you can do. So all those times I would be screaming at the TV, what are you doing? Why are you going this way? Do this, because there's no thought. All you know is, I have to go.
You flight.
Yep.
And that's just what you do. That's what your body does.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have another one?
I'm trying to think what my last ghost story is. As I can't think of personal ghost stories right now. I can only think of former coworkers, or multiple former coworkers, rather.
Mm.
So, I had a coworker who had a particularly haunted house. Like, think poltergeist level, where things would be moving and, you know, with the economy being the way it is, you would think, oh, I'm living in a house that's possessed. I have to move. With what money?
Genuinely.
Like, genuinely, have you seen the housing crisis? Like, please. And I remember her telling me one time she saw the spirit of her grandmother. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. And then this particular one bothered me because, like I said, with the garbage bag story, my room is my room. And this is how I treat bugs too, where I'm like, you have your space, I have my space. We don't need to cross. Like, there's enough space for all of us to just mind our own business. And I believe this with ghosts too. I'm like, if you're gonna haunt a place, keep it to your area. Like, stay in your lane, please. And so my coworker was telling me how she was deep in her sleep, deep asleep, and then her bed starts levitating and then starts shaking while she's in said bed and she's screaming, and her sister comes in the room, and they're both witnessing this, horror, this trauma-inducing sight together. And I'm here thinking, the audacity of this ghost. I'm just like, like I said, my room is my room. You have your own place. You don't need to go into a person's room and do all that.
Why do you gotta be extra?
Why do you gotta be extra? Like, come on. Especially in this economy, we gotta learn to live together.
If you're gonna start moving stuff, you better start paying rent.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, excuse you, if you're gonna move my bed in any capacity, you're gonna fork up some money for that rent. My bed, by the way, cost $5,000. So, our bed, I'm sorry.
Pete finds you funny stuff.
So, our bed costs $5,000, and like I said,
audacity of this
it's
ghost.
True. You can't tell me that wasn't audacious. I'm just like, please be so for real, mister. You're living in the next life. Yes, I get that they're stuck there for eternity, but I'm only here for a short time, okay? And that's my piece with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, so before we end the podcast and everything, I do want to point out something that I find hilarious. We hear stories about, if you hear ghost stories where people are like, oh, I didn't leave this there, or oh my god, the cabinet's opened up magically. I have ADHD.
And cats.
And cats. So if I see, like, wait, where did this cup come from? Oh, I must have left it out. Nah, I'll put it away. Mm-hmm. Oh, I forgot to close the cabinet for the, this, or oh, a cat moved this thing or knocked this over. I'm not going to immediately think of ghosts anymore.
No.
It's just going to be just, whoop.
Yeah, which butthole did this?
Could you imagine being a ghost and trying to haunt somebody that has ADHD or cats?
Yeah,
they're just like, nothing's working.
I would still be in jolly spirits if I was a ghost haunting someone with ADHD, because I would find myself funny. I don't need the human to. Like, I can deal with myself for eternity. But for other people who...
Or the person doesn't have ADHD, and you make them think they do.
The ultimate gaslight.
Oh, no!
No, because that is why I really want this plaque that says, if you got it, haunt it. And I really wanted to go there today and get it. I'm still so tempted to go to this store and get this placard and have it in my office. I think that'll be my first decoration.
That's great.
It really is.
But you gotta be careful what you put up.
Oh, it's so true.
Welcoming things that are unwelcomed. That's why we don't have a welcome mat for our front door.
We don't welcome nothing.
No.
We put cinnamon sticks above the door for a good reason. We ain't know about that.
I want one that says, did you call first? Did you call first?
That is still my favorite one. Like, we need to get that.
Yeah. Aw.
Hi.
Ready to do your outro?
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this live podcast. Please do follow us on Twitch if you guys aren't already, TikTok as well, and we are also posting this up on Spotify.
Yes.
And
go on.
I hope everyone had a wonderful spooky season. And if you're listening to this on Monday, I hope you have a great week. Tuesday, be strong. And as always, until the next nut drop, guys. Love you and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, and also, a happy Halloween. Hold on, there's another one I was gonna play.
Is it your favorite, or what's your favorite scary movie?
No. Well, it was spooky. All right, bye-bye.